Hi, I'm Marie. Today we're going to do another Pokemon drawing video. If you've seen my last video, then you know I grew up very sheltered, and so I did not have any exposure to Pokemon. So I will be trying to draw each of these different species of Pokemon based off of their descriptions. So today I'm going to pick a random description and I will be reading it off. Weedle. This is a bug type Pokemon that looks like a little segmented caterpillar worm. He has a round head and 7 little round body segments. He's brown with 2 black beady eyes, a big pink nose, and 2 little round pink feet on each body segment. He has a little horn on his head and a spike on the end of his tail. Okay, well, we will see what I come up with today. Okay, so I think I'm going to start off just drawing the general shape of a Weedle. It says 7 little round body segments, and it does say that they have a round head, and it looks a little bit like a caterpillar slash worm. So I think this looks caterpillar worm-ish. I'm just going to keep it really cartoony and really graphic, and hopefully this is close to whatever the design actually is. Whenever I'm drawing any kind of sphere or just any kind of shape at all, I always like to draw through, even though we're not going to necessarily see a lot of these lines when I do my next pass. It's just helpful for me to try to get the volume correct. I'm now going to add in the little beady eyes and the big nose. I don't want to forget those. And then I'm going to add a little spike on the tail and the big horn on the front of the head. I don't know why, but I'm feeling a bit of a rhino horn vibe from this guy, so we'll see how that goes. I did make the head smaller than the rest of the body parts. It just kind of felt like it'd be cute. Now I'm going to go through and draw his little feet. I don't know what gender the Weedle is, but the Weedle has 2 little feet on each segment, so I'm going to add those. I'm not sure if I'm going to add feet on those 2 middle segment on the other side. I'm not sure if I should imply that they are blocked in this perspective or if I should just show them so it's clear. But I think I'm pretty happy with this so far to move on to clean line. Sometimes I'll do a second rough line pass, but I actually feel comfortable with this design to just go straight into clean line, so that's what I'm doing. I like to pick a brush with a really wide variance in line weight. I just like the look of it. I like that it mimics a chiseled marker in real life, and that's kind of the aesthetic that I usually go for when I draw, so it just matches what I prefer. But again, you should use whatever you think is authentic to you. I'm gonna do some really just loose clean line for this character. Not everything has to be perfect, you know. I'm gonna go back and clean some things up, but right now I'm drawing each segment. I do each of these segments on a different layer so that I can erase without having to worry about intersecting with other lines that I want to keep. And then I'll merge down or merge the layers into one group. So I'm just going to keep going through one by one. I find drawing spheres really, really hard, and I will sometimes redraw them over and over and over until I get something that I can tolerate. So if you're in the same boat, don't feel bad. Just know that you're not the only person doing that. I'm going to have to redraw these circles so many times before I get something that looks presentable to me. Luckily, you can adjust the line weights and you can adjust the brushes to kind of figure out what you want. You can even adjust how much the ink in this program will correct your curves. So sometimes you can make it clean up your lines a little bit better depending on what you choose, but you know, it's all up to you. It's all depending on what look you're going for. In this case, I'm just trying to finish off this last little segment and trying to clean up little parts that I think look a little wonky. Again, you can change this at any time, but I like to get it done now because once I start coloring, I'm not going to want to go back and fix my lines, you know? And then I feel much more trapped with my decisions once I'm in the coloring phase. So after, you know, a million tries of that little butt, I finally got it. And then the little spike, I like to add a little emphasis because it's very spiky, so I feel like people need to know that. And now I'm just going to go through and draw over the feet. This process, or this part of the process, is actually probably the piece of it that I dislike the most, because it's fun to design and sketch really loose, and I like coloring, it's very therapeutic. But boy, getting line art done, it's a little thankless in my opinion. But I'm very happy to move on to color. I think I'm just gonna pick this brown color. It says he's brown and then he has a big pink nose and little pink feet. So we'll see what feels right, but I'm thinking a little more desaturated brown, and then I'll probably make the pink a little more saturated to just to give it a little pop. I don't know. We'll see how this lands. So yeah, just going through. You don't have to color this super neat or anything. You can always go through and erase. I like to do that. I know this drives some people wild because they do not appreciate my sloppiness at the first pass, but I'm going through and I'm erasing it, so it's gonna be okay. Now I am going to pick a pink that I think is a good complement, and like I said, I think a little bit more saturated will feel nice. I know sometimes I like to keep the saturations of the colors I choose more in the same world, but I don't know, I kind of like how this, it almost looks like the Weedle's feet and nose are popping off of the rest of its body, and for some reason I like that. So just looking at this design now, I'm noticing that it looks a little weird that the Weedle doesn't have feet on the other middle segment, so I'm going to just draw those in. I never like going back to line art because I feel like once you're at clean lines, you just want that to be permanent, but sometimes it's a necessary evil, even if you have to erase or add something. So I'm just gonna really quickly rough those in and then try coloring them and see if it looks a little bit better. And I think it does, you know, even though you barely see them and maybe in perspective you might not actually, for some reason in this design, it feels better. I'm gonna pick this kind of vanilla cream color for the horn, and then make the little shine on the Weedle's nose the same way. And then I'm gonna see if I can add a little bit of shadow just to ground the Weedle on some kind of plane of existence. This is a very messy shadow, but you know, we're gonna throw it on multiply and bring down the opacity, and I think it's gonna kind of feel in the same vein and style of this design. So yeah, just adjusting those controls so you get something that you're happy with. And I'm gonna also go through and add a little bit of depth to the design. I feel like it looks a little flat. I don't normally do this for a lot of my drawings, but this is a simple and graphic one. And I think just a tiny bit of like a little bit of shadow, a little bit of indication of where the light source is might add a little something to it. So okay, and I think I'm pretty happy with this design as is. I think once we finish this up, I'm gonna call it, and then I'm gonna see whether or not this character that I've done here is anything like the actual design. Okay, now that we have our Weedle, I'm super excited to see if this looks anything like the actual Weedle. Oh my gosh, I was so close! Oh, I got really close. I'm pretty proud of myself. This looks like, I did the spikes like very differently. Mine look more like horns, but this is very, very similar. I got the little legs and the little arm things on each segment, and I made my head smaller, but I guess it does make sense that it would be bigger than the rest of the body, but that's okay. And I got the big nose and everything. Okay, it wasn't that far off. I think I chose different colors, but not that far off. Okay, well, this was pretty fun. So subscribe if you want to see more videos of me doing this. I'll be making many, many more. Thank you again for watching.